Horizon and American Saga Chapter 1. This is a movie that I saw several weeks ago in theaters. And I took a while before recording my thoughts on it because I wanted to research how historically plausible it is. And now I'm done doing my research, and Horizon Chapter 1 is no longer in theaters. And that it might be for the best that my review comes out now. Because Horizon Chapter 1, it's very long. I'm kind of I'm kind of gonna cut to the chase of something I'll talk about a bit later, but it is a movie that I wonder. Apparently, this is gonna be the first of first series of four movies from Kevin Costner, who's wanted to make something like this for decades, and the others will probably be long. This is some that I look at. I think it could have been a TV series instead. I think it would work better as a TV series, or at least it works better as something you view by streaming. But it's kind of as an ensemble cast, and it follows multiple different circles of people. It follows the residents of a town in what was at the time the Arizona territory, who are all split into different groups based on families or based on conflicting loyalties. It follows some people of some other settler towns. It follows the cavalry. It follows a couple different what's the phrase? Groups of people moving out west. One of whom includes a wealthy English couple who are very out of place with some of the others. Another includes a number of Chinese immigrants. We also get the perspective of there's specifically White Mountain Apaches. There's some Tonto Apaches who appear toward the very end, and I'm guessing they're going to get a bigger role in the sequel. There are also some Pawnee who we see again toward the end of the movie. I guess we're supposed to get bigger roles in later installments, but the only Native Americans that we get to really hear much of their side of things are a band of White Mountain Apache, and that band of Apache has some conflict between some tribal elders who want to be more conciliatory and avoid conflict with the settlers, and some younger members led by a particular younger leader who want to be more aggressive. And it shows that the bounty hunters looking for bounties on criminals. It shows some bounty hunters also looking for bounties on Native Americans who are perceived as enemies, and it does not gloss over the horrors of that. But it tries to show. It also shows the suffering of families, who both native families attacked by settlers and settler families attacked by natives. There's a big deal about the first scene is actually a very disturbing and brutal scene of that White Mountain Apache raid. Of a raid by members of that band of White Mountain Apache on the outpost. And then the next scene, it cuts back and forth between, there's a scene in what's left of the town where some cavalry members chide them for setting up on land that's still supposed to belong to the White Mountain Apache. And they say, well, the people who sold us a bill of goods when they told us they had this land to sell, they didn't say that anyone else still had it. Then it also cuts back to a scene in the Apache village, and this is in Apache with English subtitles, where members of the raiding party argue with other members of the village who think that they're only inviting more trouble by attacking especially an unarmed village. And so this movie is something, and then it goes on. There's a family that got torn apart during the attack, and they start to move. And, they have to move across the west. There's a family that conflicts with another set of landowners. There's like I mentioned, there's the British couple, and then the leader of that particular, not regiment because they're not military, that particular group of settlers always has to play peacemaker between the English couple and the kind of hard scrabble crew, quote unquote, settlers accompanying them. So there's a lot going on. It's a very long movie. And I think I did some research on how historically plausible it was. There are a few holes in it, but it's mostly pretty historically plausible in terms of the gist. There's some specifics that I question. If I went into that, this review would be as long as the movie itself. I think from a moral standpoint, honestly think a lot of the complaints about were politics. I think this movie is trying very hard to show the reality. They're not trying to fit into any particular agenda. And if you're, and unfortunately, when you try to show the reality of something, you're always going to offend a few people on every side simply because reality is not going to fit in anyone's agenda. Now, here's the problem, and this I think raises some interesting moral questions about the morality of using historical events for entertainment and drama, especially events where the legacy of what happened, it remains a sensitive issue that affects people's lives today. I think a problem is that when you're trying to make it so complex and so detailed and realistic, sometimes it does not create very compelling entertainment. And that might have been a problem that this movie had, which is why I had a hard time getting an audience. And if this were based on real events, I could forgive that. Because, hey, you have to show things how they really happen. But this is not based on real events. The setting is plausible, but all the characters, the Apache leaders, the wealthy people among the band of pioneers, the cavalry detachment, these are all imagined. They're fictional characters. And so the whole, you gotta be deep, it has to be drawn, that's the price we have to pay for being accurate. That would be fine if this were based on a true story, but it's not. I'm sure there are some true stories that inspired some what happened, but there's not much that we can point to. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's fiction. It's a work of fiction. And so it was kind of needlessly long and drawn out. I am going to see the sequel, and I hope that the sequel might tie up some loose ends from the first one. It might also, I think part of the reason some people felt uncomfortable with parts of this movie was because even with a movie this long, it can only show so many sides of the conflict. And some of those sides they get their chance to make their case for us to hear their side of the story in the second, third, and fourth installments. So I'm going to try to see the sequel as soon as it comes out. I'm going to post my review as soon as I can. I doubt I'll have to do much more research after the sequel, how historically plausible it is. But I will say that Horizon Chapter 1 is something that's better viewed on a streaming device or something that you can view at a chunk at a time. Like I said, I think this could have worked better as a TV show. Maybe Kevin Costner thought that getting the message out, that's not the right way to look at it. I guess Kevin Costner really wanted this to be a theme movie, and I didn't know. I mean, there was a movie I saw a while back about the Armenian genocide called The Promise that lost a lot of money. It was a box office bomb, even though it got relatively good reviews. And I remember people saying that the studio making that film wanted to, that might have been worth it to lose money as long as they get the message out, quote unquote. But that movie, even though many of the characters in it were fictional, was based on a specific real event. Whereas Horizon, I mean, its setting is real, but none of these people, to my knowledge, actually existed. And in fact, I know none of these, there might have been historical figures they were heavily based on, but these people did not actually exist. So in terms of getting the message out, I mean, I think you want a TV show that does a good job of getting the message out, it's The Wire. Which is largely about, this is David Simon telling us how the world really is, at least in David Simon's opinion. And The Wire would never work as a movie, for the same reason and that's something that kind of drags down Horizon Chapter 1. But I do not regret seeing it at all. I'm going to see the sequel, and hopefully the pace gets picked up and they're able to find the balance between the sensitive and epic subject matter with the expectations of an audience. So that's my suggestion. If you want to see Horizon American Saga, I would suggest doing it by stream, which now that it's out of theaters is what you can do. And those are my thoughts on Horizon 1 and American Saga. Thanks for watching.